Alice Osborn is a poetry teacher and workshop leader living in the Raleigh area. She's the author of Right Lane Ends. The poetry has appeared in Main Street Rag, 2000, 2008, and 2009 Tackle Anthology, the Raleigh Quarterly, Soundings Review, Gutter Eloquence Magazine, the Cape Fear Poetry Foundation Anthology, and more. Alice is one of the busiest persons I've ever known in the area of poetry. She also leads open mic in Raleigh and is always networking and keeping in touch with other poets. In her spare time, she was born and grew up in Washington, D.C., lived in Charleston, South Carolina, and now lives in Raleigh, as I mentioned, with her husband, son, and daughter. Alice, you're on.
Thank you so much, Dave. I have a few poems here about birth, life, and death. So let's get started. Birth. I was born in D.C. before home rule, in the days between Thanksgiving and Watergate, when our cherry tree stood strong minus the blight, and we didn't have the cardinals gorging on seed next to the maple and the chicken wire fence. I was born full of dark hair and colic, with a mole on my belly button my mother didn't know existed till I was 6. I was born to a sci-fi movie of black holes and quasars, cooing mourning doves and trains sounding over the Springfield tracks. I was born into parents of the silent generation who never understood a daughter who could read minds and dust motes slipping away on humid July mornings. I was born into strip malls and superhighways, big box stores and self-pump gas, rabbit ears and Rio wine. I carried green shag carpet into my toes and orange plaid wallpaper under my fingernails. I was born abandoned in fractions of a slideshow, in the layers of an artichoke during a dream of white, solid dashes, leaping on the highway under snow forts while singing Crackling Rose. I ran many miles before I was born, alone. And this poem is about a very cold place. And then I'll read a poem about a warm place. Dear Oswego, a warm welcome to the foreign catch. 1,000 Jews found a home here during World War II. My ancestors, 5 generations back, lived here on Lake Ontario, following the ships of commerce from Missouri to New York. So cold, their mustaches froze. Winter casts a bitter spell. A lake effect snowfall of 72 inches last year trapped 2 people in their Toyota. Brawny draft cider sloshes at the Woodshop Saloon. Laced crystal hangs from gutters, while outside, sharp drops of rose bring up couches, pipes, tires, when the ground decides to thaw. In May, plastic bags waltz across bare parking lots. Tarred up telephone poles drenched in sepia and creosote trap hungry insects. A jagged cold obscures this odd curve and core, this old maze of Oswego. Pieces of land and people embracing irony. My mother and St. Christopher. She flew away from France the first time before anyone knew about the Beatles. Pressing her St. Christopher against her plaid shirt dress, gin on her breath, my mother listened to the props, slicing through foggy air, thick like tongues. On one side of the gold face, Christ and Christopher. Christopher, his muscled arms encircle the infant, halo-bound. They both cross the river. A flip of the talisman reveals 2 Ferraris blazing under Mont Agel as the sailboat plays in the port of Hercules. Christ in the front car, backed by Christopher, who relies on his wake and instinct on the steep Monaco curves. This medal, my inheritance, cool next to my pale child's skin on the Boeing 747 to Paris. My French mother kissed me with it on my 4th birthday. I must keep this necklace secured in a leather box under my twin bed next to my other nice jewelry. Now, the chain is tucked into my sailor striped top, not to get snagged or stolen. I rely on my mother to navigate customs. She fills the air with d'accord, merci, and s'il vous plaît, polite words to match her burnt orange skirted suit she bought expressly for this trip. She never sleeps. Maybe St. Christopher staves away delays and cancellations, crashes, hijackings, and water landings, but not her mother and sister she'll soon see. I feel her blackness, but I can't catch her love and loathing like the silver squares on the TWA's wing, or help her cross her bottomless river. I never hold my mother's hand. My last poem, I'm glad Cal's here because we formed a group called Poetry 7, and I was picking up this poem, and it's called Challenger 7. And I was challenged to write a poem about 7. And the challenge was 7 and Pleiades, and there's of course 7 sisters and the Pleiades. And then I really wanted to write a poem about the Challenger accident, which happened January 28, 1986. It was a very big moment for me as a kid watching that. And I found out there were 7 astronauts on the flight. There's always 7 astronauts on the shuttle flight. So I said, there you go, there's my poem. So here's my poem. My last poem, and it's been great sharing my work with you. I really enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of the poetry today and tonight, and glad you're here. Challenger 7. Did the Pleiades convene, heads covered, arms linked, 73 seconds after liftoff on that freezing January Monday when the O-rings fried like onions at Cape Canaveral? Did the 7 sisters mourn the 7 hunched in the cockpit's 2-minute and 45-second free fall back to Earth? Their fall lasted twice as long as their flight. 7 icicles hang from the booster rockets, sharp enough to slice arms, shattering phone booth windows, leaving only bald orchids, their 7 petals falling on ash and snow. The Y in the pluming acacia tree carried the charred mourning doves. The astronauts huddled in the last moments. Judy keyed Bach's Requiem on her baby grand, and Krista wondered if he would remarry another. Dick saw his cold knuckles around his grandfather's wood stove 30 years ago, and Ron saw the mouth of the Anand River consuming him like an eel. Greg wasn't with them anymore. No one wanted to be named after a crater on Venus. During the long search, the recovery team found only 6, losing the blue astronaut suit as quickly as they found him. The Pleiades prayed for the divers to see a scallop boat gathering the last one home. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alice, and thank you, Ricky and Tyler. Allie has requested that we continue on with the program, skipping the 10-minute break in the interest of saving time. So we will move to the NC Poets block number 3. If you will bear with me, I will